and you tell the seller, the person that's standing at the cashier, like the counter, and you tell them that, oh, I want a biro. And this person that's standing at the counter, let's say this cashier or something, goes to the store and gets you the biro. We can say that the store is like the database and the cashier is the API, and you are like the client making requests to the cashier. So it allows you don't need to know how they implemented the database. You don't even need to know what exactly is going on there. Like the API allows you to communicate with the database and everything. Next up, we want to understand why documenting an API is very important. So basically, when creating a new product or new services or anything, the users were not there. The users were not there when you were producing or when you were creating those APIs. And you don't want, like, for you to start, first of all, new users will be more productive and less time consuming to work with. This eliminates the need for people with limited expertise to explain how the API works and why it's important. With a properly documented API, you don't need to start teaching new users. More users are more likely to use your product because they understand it. They can see the use case. They can see, okay, why I need this. If you poorly documented API, like for example, like Stripe is a very properly documented, it's popularly known as a very well documented API. So if I wanted to use Stripe in my project, I used Stripe the other day, and I'm confused, or I don't know how, or they don't have a documentation, or they don't have, oh, this is how you use it. Nobody's going to want to use the API. Nobody's going to get around to even use it, even if they want to. You have to be like, okay, let me find somebody that knows API, or let me watch a YouTube video, or somebody has to teach me this, which is very not efficient and it's very time consuming. Also, your teams can keep up with the product maintenance, update more quickly. It helps them to identify and respond to their assigned requests and responses. An API documentation usually contains request, response, and everything. And with a company that has different teams or different people working on different areas of the code, a properly documented API, I keep saying properly documented API, is one thing to write an API for writing's sake. It's another to like not write it properly. So when you have a log or a diary of your API, of the use cases, the request, the response, it makes your team know that, okay, it makes you to keep up with maintenance, because you don't just code once and forget it. You have to be like, oh, we wrote this then, we want to upgrade it, more people are doing this, this is not, we want to use a different language or something. You will check out your API documentation and be like, okay, all this thing, oh, I wrote this twice, right? But that's it, Sha. Next up, what makes a good documentation? So basically, I've been saying properly documented APIs. What exactly makes a good documentation? One, it is concise. You don't want, when you are writing your documentation, you don't want to keep going on and on and on and on. You don't want to keep blabbing about something. A lot of us here have tried to read APIs or try to learn from APIs. And what we do, or okay, let me not go for as far as APIs. Let me say like Stack Overflow. When you post questions or Stack Overflow and to get answers, what most of us do, we just skim through unnecessary talk, and just check out the code samples. You don't want to bore people off. You don't want it to be bulky, and you want very few words that carry like a lot of explanation, that carry the maximum impact. So it is entry level, easy to understand and digest. That I would say is self-explanatory. But basically, writing API documentation, you are doing so to teach. You're not Chinua Achebe or Wale Soyinka. Nobody wants to read stuff that is difficult to understand. You don't want to drive people away from your product. You want to be like, okay, you want to try as much as possible to not confuse users at all. Like for example now, you want to say, okay, this, because you want it to be entry level. It's not only senior developers that come to your documentation. It's also people that use it, your documentation for the first time. I remember when I was trying to learn Node.js and I watched YouTube videos, and it gets to a point where YouTube videos become tiring and you start to read the docs. So I didn't know exactly what I was getting into. I didn't know anything in Node.js. So I started reading the documentation, assuming the person that wrote that doc wanted to stunt on me. I wanted to be like, oh, okay, I'm a major in English. I did this. You write this one, you write this one, you write this one. I would have lost interest since I'll probably drop it and be like, oh, maybe I should stick to front end, or oh, let me see whether I can try Go or something else, or watch YouTube video yourself. So it has relatable and a lot of examples and use cases. In API documentation, yeah, you have, okay, let me share my screen. I want to go to my Chrome. Sorry. Okay. Let's go to Chrome. Let's check out Stripe API. I keep saying Stripe because it's taking a minute. So yes, if you go through the Stripe API, on the right hand side, can you all see my screen? Sorry. Hello.
Yes, I can see your screen. I don't know if others are
Okay.
seeing it.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, this right hand side, you can see examples of requests you want to send. Like now, what I wrote in this place, it has relatable examples and use cases. To show you examples of requests you can make to the APIs, examples of responses. If I wanted to write API documentation and I went to go and write like maybe like an example that nobody in real life would use, the kind of joke that running joke that people tell with exams, teachers and exam, how they will teach you one small example, maybe 2+2. Then in the exam, you start seeing differentiation and integration. When the teacher does stuff like that, the students are more likely to fail. So when you give examples that are not like, that people are not more likely to use in real life, or people are not more likely to care about in real life, people are going to fail when they use your API in their projects. It's not going to work. You're going to frustrate the users. You don't want people that are using or patronizing your. You don't want people that are using your API. You don't want to frustrate them. That's the last thing you would want to do. So you just, for example, look at the examples here. The endpoints, the different endpoints. You have the post request. You have get request with the ID. Then I have an example of you have the example, they use curl here, and you have examples of response that you can get when you make that kind of request. Like when you do this to charges, you have this kind of example. One of the main advantage of using curl is that it's language agnostic. Like you don't have to write when you use curl in your API documentation. You don't have to write for it because it's not everybody that uses your API that is going to write. Okay, I have a chat here. That is going to write JavaScript, or is going to write Go, or is going to write Ruby. So like people have different languages they're going to use, and for you to start writing how you would make requests in every single one of those languages, you will eventually end up skipping some. Maybe you see somebody using, I don't know, start skipping some or start not, and you don't want that. But with curl is just, it's language agnostic. This is what you do, this is what you get. And also it's also assumed that if you are coding with APIs and stuff like that, you know how to make requests in your language. If you don't know how to do that, you can check tutorials and everything. But it's always assumed that since you are here, you probably know how to make requests. So that's why people use curl. Good. So after doing that, next up on the agenda is the common sections in REST API documentation. So basically, there are usually 5 common sections in REST API's documentation. We have the resource description, the endpoint method, the parameters, the request example, response example, and schema. So I don't know if I am overusing Stripe and I should check something else. It's not that Stripe is a very good. Let me check MailChimp, how they are doing there. MailChimp. Very good products usually are accompanied. They should be, no, forget that. Very good products are accompanied with very good APIs. That's it. So basically, let's see how they do this. I guess accept cookies. They shall send me these cookies one day. I don't want, but let's check. Let's use API. So now, I said there are common sections in API. Resource description. Resource description. This is a brief, action-oriented summary of your API. Usually, why users should use your API and how you operate. With Stripe API here, I keep going back to Stripe APIs. With Stripe APIs, you see the API reference here. Usually, different APIs have different topics, different ways they classify these sections of their API documentation. It doesn't always go like, okay, resource description, endpoint method, parameters, request example, response example, and schema. It isn't usually, I mean, you would see when you read those parts of the APIs that these are what they are talking about. These are examples underneath these topics. But it's always with different header. I mean, this is not the SI unit of sections of APIs. This is not what. So basically, you get that. But once you read that, like now, for example, you have API reference. They did not go and write reference description, but you can read that this is a description of the Stripe API. You can. The Stripe API goes that the Stripe API is organized around REST APIs. API has predictable resource-oriented URLs, accepts some encoded request bodies, and some blah, 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 blah. It's basically why you should use it. It's action-oriented. It's what exactly is Stripe APIs. I mean, sure, you might have heard Stripe before, I'm like, oh, so probably somebody told you that, oh, you should use Stripe, or oh, you should use this is not an advertisement for Stripe, sorry. You should use Flutterwave, you should use anything. But like, what if you've not heard about that and you just randomly stumble upon Stripe and everything? You have to know what you're doing there now. You have to know what exactly this API is. So basically, that is why you have this reference description. That's why you describe your API. I feel like it should go without saying though, but yeah. Secondly, we have the endpoints. We have the endpoints and methods. The endpoint is the address of the resource. It indicates how you can access the resource. The methods indicate how to interact with this resource. So basically, we have what we call CRUD API: create, retrieve, update, delete. CRUD. I should have written this somewhere, but CRUD API. CRUD CRUD. And basically, we have the methods that are used to an API is that resource, that endpoint is the address of the API. Like now here, this is the base URL, the endpoint of the Stripe API. Then from there you start going. Let me show you an example of where they do like see endpoints here. You have this V1 balance transactions ID, V1 balance transaction. You have the method get. This is used to retrieve. This is used to, you see there, retrieve a balance. This is used to retrieve, get a data from the database. Like when you send the cashier to bring a barrel for you, what the cashier is doing, the cashier is getting the barrel for you. The cashier is using the get method to get that barrel for you. And this one is the endpoint, the V1 balance transaction ID, V1. This is an example of the endpoint. We go down here, we see post. Post is used to maybe if the cashier comes with like, I don't know, Neo Smart or something that nobody ideally uses. And you're like, what is this? Please go. And you go back and she goes to put the cashier there. That's what it's used to create a change. It's like, okay, let me open my to send data to the database. Like when you are creating a new user, instead of getting like user credentials or getting a user data from the user base or getting a to-do list, you can create a to-do list. So that's what post is for. You have the put. Put is for update, but generally we don't put here. As you can see, there is no put in this documentation. Put is basically for updating. Maybe you already created the user, but okay, now you want to put gender, the gender property. Maybe before you just put Amarachi Hanacho, student, but what gender is she? And you have to go and update that data. So that's what put is for. Then you have delete, which I think is self-explanatory. Delete is for deleting the data, removing that data. So basically, yeah. Now let me show you. See, there are some endpoints that allow certain. Some endpoints don't allow listen. Some endpoints don't allow some methods. Sorry, that took me a minute. Let me check Spotify API so that we can see. Oh, why did you? So like now with Spotify, you can't. You shouldn't be able to. Okay. Sorry. You can delete resources. You can Okay, let me just see. So now, Spotify API, the charges endpoint charge. You can post, you can get charges, but you can't delete your debit charges or credit charges. You can't say, okay, I'll remove that. I don't want that. It's not possible. Especially with disputes too. So some certain endpoints like disputes, events does not even allow posts to. So certain endpoints allow certain methods. Another section of API documentation is parameters. Parameters are passed into our endpoints to influence the response of your request. The parameter can be defined in various ways. Some of these include path, query, and header parameters. Good. So, no, model. Okay. Okay. Yes. Parameters. Header parameters are, I said they're called path, query, and header parameters. Header parameters, as intuitive as this might sound, goes in the header. There are parameters that you pass in the header. For example, let me find one for you. Like when you're making requests, sometimes it doesn't allow you to make those requests if you don't pass those parameters in the header. They include like content types. They include okay, so let me show you this Spotify API. Now look, the H tag in crawl represents header. Authorization basic YCGSC. That is an example of a parameter you can pass to the header. Sorry, I'm chasing guides. Okay. I know. Where's this here? Okay. And sometimes, and a lot of times, you would not be allowed to make some requests, except some open-ended APIs. Some APIs don't allow you to make requests without that header parameters. Next up, we have this is blocking my screen. So let me just check Stripe API again. So it's just blocking my screen. Okay. Next up, we have Path API. Okay, fine, I got that out of the way. The Path API are usually They are not as important in some cases as the header APIs, and they are usually denoted in curly braces or with this semicolon. These pass APIs, they influence the response you get back. In fact, all the parameters influence the response you get back. So basically, yeah, they can dynamically render different responses from different requests. For example, if you have a base path of this of v1 dispute and you put ID of 3, you get ID from here, you put ID of 3 or something. This semicolon, this colon ID is a path parameter. Some places indicate path parameters with curly braces. That one too is nice and it's very intuitive. When you see, you can be like, oh, that's a path parameter, or yes. Lastly, we have query parameters. Query parameters are, let me move this to here. For example, now look at this Zoom meeting. Look at this Zoom meeting link. This question mark here, everything after this question mark indicates the query parameter. This mn equals to this, and id is equals to 32. mn and id are query parameters. Query parameters are denoted after these question marks. I'll show you more about this when we are documenting our APIs. And another section of a properly documented API is the request example. The request example shows a sample request that shows some configuration options. It should be as rich with parameters as possible. Code snippets that contain the same request in different languages apart from Corel are sometimes included in the reference topics. This is something I explained, something I talked about earlier, but I feel like some people are not around to hear that, so I'm going to explain it again. Basically, again, sorry that I keep going to Stripe, but yes, basically, look, these are examples of sample requests. This is an example of sample requests, and it's written in curl. You can also write sample requests in different languages. Like you can write in JavaScript, you can write in Go, you can write in Ruby, Python, you can write in different languages. So people that are trying to make requests to your APIs can just copy and paste those codes in their project. You can do that. That's nice. That's very thoughtful of you. But how many languages are you going to really account for? I don't know. That's why even Stripe right now, but you can see Stripe allows you to choose different see now. This is how you would make requests in Python. I don't know because I'm not a Python developer, but let's check with Node.js. This is how you would make requests in Node.js, or JavaScript is not here. But so you have different. It can show you like different ways or different how you would share. How you would make requests in different languages and everything. But usually it's always in default in curl. Reasons are it's language agnostic. It's language agnostic basically. It's the same in this thing in different languages. And example, and also it should be rich with parameters as possible. You would want to show as much parameters as you can pass in your what's it called, in your endpoint. You want to show that you can pass this many parameters, like maybe ID. Probably this one only uses ID. You want to show that, okay, see now you have ID, the sources ID, verify. You want it to be rich. You want to show as many use cases or as many examples that you can create. Like now, for example, if it's not just ID, if it was maybe a parameter like city, and if it was a weather API, and you want to show parameters like city and everything, you want to show that, okay, you can use cities. You want to have plenty parameters as possible so you can explain. You don't want to use like a handful of them and just like forget the rest, because chances are your users are not going to use those API, those exact same ID. I mean, there are like a lot of people in the world. There are millions of developers. We are not thinking the same. Then finally, we have the response example. The response example displays a sample response that contains all the possible elements of a request. The response schema defines the elements of this response and their configuration. It's a collection of details that describe the response to a query, and the response schema details that properties could be returned. Good. So this is the request, an example of a request you could make in curl. And when you make this request, according to Stripe, this is the response you are going to get. This exact same response. If you copy and paste this in your command line, this is the response you're going to get. You would want to show that to your users, that this is what you're going to get. You don't just want to paste requests and be like, oh, there you go, that's it. You want to show the response example. Like now, you don't just post questions and don't just give the answers. No, that's not very right. Then after posting the response, you write a description, a short description on what those properties in this response mean. This one is not as comprehensive because there are a lot of responses. But it's explaining, like now, this object, sit here, a string describing the object type return. No, the list response format, okay, object. The data has more Boolean, URL, the URL for accessing the list. That is basically what it is right now. So now, as you can see, as what I said earlier, it doesn't show that this is the name. The name is reference description. The name is parameters. The name is request example. No, but as I'm walking you through it, you can see that, okay, these are the paths, or this is what this pieces of this Stripe API. This is what they're talking about. Like now, it says parameters really small here. So yeah. So that's it on orally explaining what Stripe API, what makes a good API. I can see somebody's chat. Okay, no problem. So now we are going to use a weather. What I'm going to use is an open weather API app. Sorry, apparently people. Please, if you can, I'll post this link here, or let me just post this link. my God. Um, he told me that you guys were going to download Postman. So basically, we're going to create a new collection. We'll name this one a weather API. Write the docs weather API. Sorry that I took time. So here, what are we're going to do? What we're going to create which add a request. So if you haven't, you should, if you try to check with this Open Weather API, you're going to have to sign in and have you get access to your API keys. I'm not supposed to exactly show you my API keys, but I don't really get access to your API key. You go here, API keys here. So now let's carry on. We're going to use the current weather forecast. It's free and it allows you to copy this. We come to our Postman and paste this. The city name, I'm currently in Owerri. And my API key. I'm trying to be fast. I'm sorry. I hope let me see the chat. Okay. So also you also can use the unit parameter. That's just standard. Postman is so great because you can easily create your documentation with this. Where I work, we don't actually create our documentation with Postman. Send your request. Set API key. Valid API key. Anyway, so I've written one API key. Okay. I don't know why it's saying invalid API. I feel like my own has expired. So I did this one this morning with the same API key. So basically, when you send the request, what's the person chatting? I'm using Postman I'm using Postman for anybody that's confused. All right, let me just create. Is anyone there else having the API key issue? City name, query.
Mine is doing well. I'm not having an issue.
I think mine has expired because I've been using it since yesterday. Oh, let me see if I can use another one.
Create another one.
Yeah, another listen. Let me see my email. What's the name of? Okay, so valid API key. Oh, this is the key they are keeping me. Okay. So when you send your request, are we getting a response on the, we're getting a pretty response, yeah? In this body. So basically, I don't know why mine is not going through right now. I'm creating it up. Or I'm just using. I don't know if I should just carry on explaining how it works without.
I think you can do that. Since it's giving you issues, just carry on to explain how it works.
Yeah. Good. So with Postman, go over to your right. You see this icon that says documentation. You click on it. This one, it says make documents easier. Also save your response. I don't want to say this one because just save, go here. There's a save response. You save it. You save as an example. Then you come here. Review complete documentation. Let me go back again to show what I did. You go here. Down below, you see view complete collection documentation. You click on it. You carry on. That's it. Now here, with Postman, you can edit, basically, you can edit. So you see this this pencil icon, you click on it. Postman uses Markdown. If you have issues with Markdown, I have a Markdown cheat sheet that I could send to you guys right now that I have bookmarked for this. Sorry. Markdown cheat sheets. So basically, I'm going to send that to everybody here right now on the chat. Just in case you're not very familiar with Markdown. Then here is what you write. We're going to start with the API reference. Here is what you write, what exactly this API is. Like the one I showed you with Stripe. You have this, you can come up with anything that you think that what the API got. So the weather API, I'm assuming that since this is the first time you are fetching this API, it might be working on your side. So you say, this weather API gets the weather forecast of a location, period. You save it. Obviously, you can make it more robust and more action oriented. Then you have sample requests. We can also, you click here to publish your API. This is where you click to publish your API. You have current environment, you can choose your styling, but we don't have time for that. Publish collection is for when you want to put it out there, when it's not very advisable for you to publish your collection, especially when you have sensitive information like your API keys or your information like that. So if you want to see how your documentation looks like, you go to here where it says preview collection, then you click there. It loads. You see, it tells you that please review the highlighted sections and remove any sensitive information before publishing. That is talking about our API keys. Are you guys, let me see. Okay. Are you guys seeing your documentation? Nobody's there.
Yeah.
Are you see you're seeing your preview documentation, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So basically, you want to maybe edit more, explain more on what these values are. You said click here to make things easier for you to understand this request. This gets the forecast of Owerri city. You also want to make your grammatically correct. Can run it through Grammarly. Also, with markdowns, you can also create a table. We'll show you in this markdown. To create a table with markdown to explain also with this thing, you can go back to your code and write descriptions of your query parameters. You can come here and clean your API key and replace it with API key, the word API key, so that nobody can see what exactly the API key is. You come here and give description, the query. This represents, for example, if I was talking about queries, after this question mark, this Q, this app ID, these units are all queries. This represents the name of the city. Full stop. App ID. This is your app ID. This is your app ID. The units are, is it in standard? Is it in Kelvin? I'm guessing this is Kelvin. This is, I don't know, right? This is Kelvin. This indicates the unit of temperature measurement. Okay. You see, then check out your review your documentation. So now you can see your app ID does not have your app key again, your API key again, because it's sensitive information. This explains what exactly, this is what we just used. This is the description of these parameters. You can come here. This is not what we're supposed to be getting in the body. When I did this previously, you should be getting an object that is very similar to this, except not Owerri. So we can come here, we can come to our Postman. See how very easy it is to create with Postman. Very, very, very easy. It allows you to get away with a lot of things. Let's edit our body, shall we? I didn't save this one apparently. So let's go to our markdown, this thing. Our markdown cheat sheet. I'll copy out the markdown for tables to explain what those parameters. We're not going to explain everything, but to explain what exactly we are getting back in the response, so that people that are using it will know whether, okay, is this what I want or so. So, sorry. Okay, good. So people will know exactly. You can say this one is the parameters, the properties, You say the description. Good. So if you're getting properties, please always make sure it's correct. It's spelled correctly. Can say you get a longitude and latitude. You say latitude, description. This defines it's not longitude, is even vertical or horizontal. I'm guessing latitude is horizontal. This defines the horizontal placement of the city. So you might want to clean this part out. This because you don't need it. Also, you can also put that part out and use it to show the default values of this thing, but we didn't exactly view the API. We don't know exactly what. You can say longitude because I'm guessing that's what you can see there. Longitude, blah 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 blah, defines this. The vertical. Also, you want to place. You want to write the unit here. You want to show what unit this is. Obviously, you don't see the latitude, they're in degree. You might want to tell them that, okay, this temperature, where is that there? Okay, I have a response from yesterday. You want to tell them that, you want to tell them what exactly this temperature is. Maybe when you're writing down temp, feels like temp mean, temp max. You tell them, is it in degree Kelvin, degree Celsius, degree Fahrenheit? You tell them what exactly this humidity, what degree it is in, the time zone. So, okay. I wonder what their degree, this thing is in what degree. Open up this weather API. Oof. Anyway, so yeah, when you're done editing that, are we, did we later edit it? When I done it, okay, just copy and paste this cheat sheet. It won't take a minute. Go to write. Okay, so we would write to be this other side of the colon of the this thing, tab tab tab. Where is this part again? To signify the other colon. Correct units. It's in degree. This goes without saying. It's the temperature, the humidity, the temperature, It says what's the property? The property is temp. So you would say temp. You don't write temperature. That can confuse the user. So you write temp. Temp. Temperature of city. Kelvin. Because I didn't have values in the other one, the table was messing up a bit. So there, with that, we should have our a mock API documentation. Let's preview our documentation. You can see you have the properties. You also want to put a header here that says that, okay, these are the properties, or these are this. Did everybody get up to that point? Okay, the charts. I'm out to charts.
Yeah, I got up to that, but I think there's a question somewhere.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, sorry, I'm going to drag us back on this question now, but I'm asking for some other persons that might be joining next. Now, if you're starting out using Postman to document your API, after titling it right dot API, just like it.
Yeah.
Can you get me?
Yeah, I can get you a bit. Sorry, it's cracking there.
Okay, I was saying, if you're starting out using Postman to document your API, after giving it a name,
Mm-hmm.
do you authenticate it or you just use no authentication?
After, is it okay? Is it when you are starting to send requests with APIs? Is it here?
I don't know if it's okay. Now, what I'm asking is a question someone actually sent over. But me saying that,
Okay, is it the chat? Can I check the chat?
Okay, let me make that part.
Okay, send it to the chat so I can understand more what you're saying. What I did before, I just published it. You can publish your collection. I published it, so now it's available online. I hope okay, so have you sent it? We are waiting. Have you sent it? Hello? Okay, to get API key, you need to get your API key for this open weather. If it's to get your API key for Open Weather app, this is where you do. Where is my Open Weather API? Go to here. I actually, before here, I signed up already, but I could log out so that I could show you, but I can't even remember my password self. But when you sign up and you sign in, you go to this place here, Amara. It goes here, my API keys. Even normally, I remember when I first signed up for this API, it gives you your API keys in your mail. So just go here, your API keys, and you find them, find your keys, or you go yeah, that's where you find your API keys. Tell me that we're almost done. I don't know, but I think somebody has been recording, so and I can make my slides available. Did you get that?
Yeah.
Did you get that? Yeah.
Yes, yes, I did.
But when you run this thing, you use your API keys, yeah? Hello?
Yes, I got what you say. Now I'm on it.
Okay, no problem. Sorry. It's fine if you got it, yes. So what we used here, you see how, and what we did now, for example, now, like now I published it, but let me unpublish it. Sorry, so I can see what I meant, what I did here. So when we are done and we've seen our API, like we've gone here, we've been here, we've gone here, we published it. You know, normally we go here to preview our documentation. You can take it a few steps further. Let me close some parts so that you can see it. You've gone there. When you are sure that you've not put any sensitive information when you're trying to make the request, your API keys, you change it to API key or anything. I don't know whether this particular one I did that, but it's an Open Weather API, so I'm not worried. So now you published it. It goes published collection, right? It talks API environment. You now come here, you see your URL for published documentation. You click this. It opens a new tab. Please let me close it. Then this is it. This is your documentation. Kind of looks a little bit like Stripe if I'm not carrying myself away. But like, yeah, you get me. This is it. This is it. It's curl. Yes. This is your body. This is not the correct. This is not where you're supposed to be getting. They want me to pay and you see, we remove the API key from our request. So it's not showing that long. If that API key should not be in your documentation, please. It should not be in your documentation. That's a sensitive information. So just, but it's in, then you see, you write better API, this place, better documentation, better summary that is more eye-catching. This explains latitude, longitude, the temperature of the city. These are the parameters, the API ID. That's the API key. This is your app ID. The API key that he just asked about. Units, imperial. This indicates that this indicates the unit of measurement. So basically, yeah. Also, with Postman, which I think is really, really cool, you can show how you make your request in JavaScript. Have you seen that? Just go to this top bar here, this place here. You can see different languages, which is even, let's not brag, a lot more than Stripe. So you can see Python, PowerShell, Swift, PHP, Node.js, JavaScript, XHR, curl, which, yes. So just choose that. Then let's see Go. Then this is how you would make the request in Go. Then somebody, like a developer, can just come here and copy it. It's copied now and go to his project, this thing, and make that request. Did we get that? You can also change it from double A column to single column. But double column is pretty cool because you can see side by side the properties, the properties definition and the properties you are getting. So please let's change it back to double colon. Sorry. This stuff is everywhere. So yeah, that's basically it. You make it. Is there any question? Is there any question, please? Hello? Let me check the chat.
Is there any question?
I hope we got to this point and we understood how to do it, and we have a working documentation on our website now.
I have working documentation on our website.
Yes, that's nice. That's nice. Let's change it back to Carol. So yeah, that's basically it. Basically, yeah. Postman is a lot easier. So, no question. I guess then we are done here. We are.
Amarachi, Sandeep here. I have a question.
Okay, no problem.
My question is it possible to write, documentation in GitHub for API?
Is it possible to write your documentation in GitHub?
Yes.
Yes, you would do that. It's very possible to do that. Like, for example, I do not want to show you because yes, like you just use Markdown. Markdown is universal. Markdown is not just for what's it called? You can use like Gatsby to create your blog. Gatsby is a very popular network,
Framework.
Framework. Yeah, sorry. Thank you for that. Gatsby.js. I could show you the link and post it in the chat just in case you would want. Sorry, let me just find that chat. Yeah, you can post it here. You can use Gatsby. You can use Markdowns to write your documentation. The Markdown. I posted the Markdown sheet. Then you upload it you just host it like a normal website. It's just that with Postman, it's a lot easier. You get, so that's why I'm using it. But you can, yes, you can do it. You can push it to normal GitHub.
Amra, I think he was asking.
Okay, let me show you.
Amra, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I think Sam D was asking if you can write an API documentation on GitHub.
Oh, okay, GitHub, the platform itself.
Yes.
Oh, I'm not sure you can. I don't know about that. You can write it. You can.
No, you can't.
Yeah, I don't think you can, because you can write it on your laptop and push it to GitHub.
GitHub, yes.
Sadiq, are you getting me? You should not go to GitHub itself, the platform itself, and start writing it. And even if it was possible, which it's not possible, it would be very, very inconvenient. Because one, how are you even going to like run it on your laptop or run it on localhost to see how it looks self before pushing it? I don't think you can, Sadiq. You shouldn't do that. Do you understand me? You can't do that. But you can write locally and push it to GitHub, then host it there. But you can't open GitHub itself and do that. No, sorry.
Okay, Amarachi.
All right. Okay.
Do we have another question? Okay, since we don't have another question, let me just explain. Amara, there's something you talked about Gatsby. I was thinking that, okay, if I'm to use Gatsby, since Gatsby is a static site generator, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Since Gatsby is a static site generator, and I want to use Gatsby to document an API, I'm still going to use Postman, right?
You use Postman. Yeah, you use Postman to test your APIs now.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Postman is just like that your friend, your G that's coming through for you. So that's it. It's really nice. There are other and one thing about Postman I just found out, I actually didn't know this before, is that you can even create mock APIs. I actually created one, but it wasn't as complex. A little, like this weather API is not that complex, but at least it had parameters. So this one was just really easy. Had simple, but you can create mock. Like now, I created this API yesterday when I was tweaking with it. I got this response exactly, but like there was no parameters, no nothing. It wouldn't be a very good something to use. So Postman is really nice. The other companies that have been creating like mock APIs too, and like Stoplight, but Stoplight is a lot complex. It's actually a lot more complex than this Postman. So yeah, you can just find out APIs on the web, create get them, get a response, come here and tweak up the documentation, get published, you can send it to your friends and everything. Postman is really cool. Also not an advertisement for Postman, but yeah, basically, yeah. So I guess that's it for now. Okay. I hope we all learned something from this basically. And yes, remember, concise. It should be accurate. You don't want to be creating something that is not correct after ticking all the other boxes. Your documentation is not correct. That's just sad, basically. So yeah, that's it. That's all. I don't know if I can share these slides. I don't know if anybody would need it, but let me share it too. I'm sure to anybody that would want to use it. So yeah, just a few things, just understand the different parts of your API and everything. So the video can end here right now, right? Mr. Taba. So basically that's all. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Amarachi. I actually learned a lot in this session today.